everyone, welcome to Swaksha Spectrum. Today's Spectrum is a continuation of last week's Spectrum where I'm going to be sharing more of my completed sketchbooks. Here is my first sketchbook. This is my school sketchbook and here is the cover of it. I decided to decorate it in like a forest kind of theme. So this was one of the first pieces I ever did in my school sketchbook. And we were basically given a picture and we had to recreate the picture using mark making techniques like I did here. So this page is an artist research page that we had to do about Kate Lysett. So I recreated one of her paintings to try and make the page in her style. So I actually really like how this turned out. I really like the blending and how vibrant the colors ended up being. So this next page was another recreational piece inspired by Kate Lysett's work. So we started off with this square, as you can see there, and we had to recreate a segment of one of her paintings. So I chose this part of her painting. And later we had to make a page of it, so I decided to stick with the theme and continue on from her painting. So here we have another artist research page. This one's a little different. This one is about Carol Nelson instead. So in her work, she generally tends to experiment with different textures. So that's what I tried to do in this page. I made the trees a different texture than the grass. And I also recreated one of her pictures. I really like how the different textures turned out, so this is probably one of my favorites. So this next piece was also kind of similar to the first piece I showed you. We had to recreate a picture that we were given, but this time in the style of Carol Nelson, and we had to use different mark making techniques. So I hole punched some pieces for leaves and cut out some strips of paper for the trees. This next piece that we did was a little different. This was a collaborative piece that we did, and we basically had a painting by David Hockney, which we split into 4 sections, and each person would do their own individual section. So I did the bottom right. So here we had to draw something from our window. This could be in real life or made up, and I decided to make up a window view. And here is what I created. It's a wintry view, and I really like how the end result turned out. The snow really helps tie it together. This page is a little bit different to the other pages in the sketchbook. This page is kind of like a collage. So we had to draw objects around our house in observational drawing, but using mark making techniques, and then lay them out in a collage way. So I gave them a background and then added some text. I'm pleased with how most of my drawings turned out, and even the ones that aren't so good. So these next 2 pages were in the style of Michael Craig Martin. And here is the first one where we just had to draw a bunch of different objects in different scale and sizes, kind of similar to how Michael Craig Martin would draw them. So I'm not that fond of how this ended up turning out. I think it's a little bit plain. So this page is a little better than the last one because it has some color and it's also a little neater to look at in comparison to the previous one. And the colors turned out really bold and vibrant, which I like. So here we had to draw an iconic figure, and I chose to draw Anne Frank. And we also had to draw some symbols which are related to her. So I drew the Jewish star and her diary, which she's most well known for. Moving on to the next piece. This next piece is an observational drawing which we had to do with pencils. So this was how my image looked like. And on this crumpled piece of paper, I really struggled drawing it. I've never drawn a crumpled piece of paper before, so that was my first attempt. But as a whole, I think the shading turned out really nice and neat. So these were all the pages I filled in my class sketchbook. So here is my personal sketchbook. Here is the first page. In this first page I wanted to draw something a little different in the style which I don't really draw in, so I wanted to try out something graffiti related. And the next one I did was a girl in a bottle. This one's kind of simplistic. So next we have this hummingbird. I don't really draw animals very often, but here it is. I really like the shading of it. And moving on, we have a girl and a cat and a nice splendid background. I like how the watercolors turned out in this. So here we have a piece that took me a really long time to draw. As you can tell by the really intricate patterns, this took me quite a while, but I'm really happy with the end result. And here I just decided to draw a regular old landscape. So here I drew on papyrus, which you may know from my Egypt video. And I've never drawn on papyrus before, and it actually turned out really nice, and I really like how realistic Tutankhamun turned out. So this page was kind of a doodle. I just drew a few people with different expressions. So this piece is a lot different to what I usually draw. This was kind of an abstract piece. And I decided to experiment around with it. So this piece was kind of simple and quick for me to draw. I just drew a girl and she has a little duck. Here we have my Belgian waffle drawing. This was my first time drawing food, so I decided to experiment around with it a little bit, and it turned out really nice and really yummy. So here I wanted to do something a little different as well, so we decided to draw a bunch of cities in sunglasses. So moving on, here we have a comic style piece that I made. I wanted to create something in kind of a comic-y style, so I decided to make a comic about a cat. So this page was inspired by counting sheep in the night, which I remember doing a few times when I was really little. And also, I had to draw some Disney characters because I absolutely love Disney. So here are Mickey and his friends. The colors in this piece turn out really vibrant and I like it. So this was another experimental piece that I tried drawing, and this one is of someone rowing a boat. The shading of the waves turned out to look really cool, which I like. So here I wanted to draw something a little different as well, so I drew some lanterns in the sky. And the lanterns ended up turning really vibrant and bold. Now we have this octopus page, which was inspired by a game which I would play when I was younger. It was Octopus, Octopus, and there's these little fish which ask the octopus if they can cross the sea today. Yeah, so I really like how the bubbles and the shading of the octopus turned out. And those are all the pages of my personal sketchbook. That's the end of this spectrum. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Till then, bye!